Hello and welcome to Curious Conversations. We are your hosts, Carly and Mandy, and today we're talking about Scientology, which is different.
It is different.
It is very different. Okay, so I'll be honest, I didn't have a lot of education in this department before this week. So I'm really excited, learned some stuff that you probably, I
Yep.
mean, you already knew.
Well, I'm no scholar. I mean, I am not here at all to be like, yeah, I'm the authority on
Yeah.
this or anything, right? Or anything.
Are you sure? I thought
Well,
we knew
maybe,
all the things.
maybe, yeah, sometimes maybe.
Okay. Well, so I did discover Scientology. It's a religion, it's a movement. It was founded in the 1950s. And this was by a gentleman named Ron Hubbard. Is that
That's it.
correct? Yep. And it focuses on the study of the spirit and then its relationship, like with itself, with others, with life in general. So, Scientologists believe that people have these innate abilities and powers that are kind of suppressed, but that they can regain them by clearing themselves of like unwanted behaviors. So, that's my overview in a nutshell. We There are plenty of thoughts and opinions about this topic, but I'm excited about this because you and I are going to be talking back and forth. This is kind of a co-host to co-host interview where I'll be talking to Mandy about personal experiences with Scientology. Um, she's got a little bit of a sample of that, and this was through a relationship. Is that right? To someone that was kind of in that religious group?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I just thought it was interesting and had several thoughts on that. This should be pretty neat to kind of pick through. And again, it's a personal experience.
Yeah.
I'm not here saying should be, should not be. I feel this way, that way, whatever. This is just an experience I had. I like to share, just like we like to learn about other people's experiences.
Yeah, and I think that is, that's just something we are into. We like to talk
Mhm.
about the personal experiences. We like to talk about how, an individual felt or what they went through, which is why we love talking to you guys out there. When you reach out, we want to hear those stories. So Scientology, um, I mean, it's been called everything from a religious movement all the way to just a straight up cult.
Mhm.
And you'll hear, those different phrases used. At first glance, I'll be honest, personally, I thought, well, that looks kind of cool. They're doing big things. So they've got, they're opening new campuses kind of all over everywhere. They work in many charitable areas. I'm talking drug rehabilitation. I'm talking criminal reform, human rights, mental health reform.
Mhm.
Just doing some really great things, and you think, wow, that's awesome. They do have precepts that are akin to, and I'm going to make a comparison here that many will not agree with, but I want to say they're akin to the Bible's 10 commandments. They teach about things like taking care of self, the way we should treat children. They talk about, being a good example, not doing anything illegal, but they also touch on things like prosperity and competence and kind of respecting the religious beliefs of others. But if you're looking at it from a non-religious viewpoint,
Mhm.
it seems like there are some really great takeaways in there.
Yeah, I think when you add or when people add the word religion, it makes it sort of blurred, like on what the idea of that
Mm.
is, because people go to like old school religion,
Yeah,
Christianity, and like as you say. So I think that kind of confuses people when you say religion, not you, Carly, but you
right.
in general, on what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a perfect way to sum that up is,
Mhm.
we all have our own ideas of what religion is and what should and shouldn't be in religion. So yeah, great point.
Well, yeah,
Um,
because they actually say that you in the teaching that you can be any religion and still
yeah,
do this.
yeah, they do. I mean, acceptance
Mhm.
of what someone may believe or call their religion.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, Scientology has a bad rap out there. I mean, that's just, and a lot of things do that it may not be a true portrayal of what they are, but there's a very dark turn when you hear from those who have broken their commitment to Scientology. And there's a lot of celebrities, and I'm going to say her name wrong, but Leah Romani, and I love her. Do you know how to say her name?
I'm not going to correct you because I'll screw it up for the second time.
Okay. I know that's not it. But
She's Carrie.
fantastic.
She's Carrie on King of Queens. She's
Yes,
Carrie.
yes.
She's
I
Carrie
know
to
her as
me.
Carrie.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's who she is to me.
She's spoken out against
Mhm.
Scientology, and isn't even published a bestseller that
Yeah.
speaks out against, her. She talks about her experience, which I think is important. But I know, she felt like she was attacked by the church. There was a website that was set up that,
Mhm.
really had some really personal things about her and her family, her father and things like that. And she felt very attacked, and there was a lawsuit. But there's a lot of celebrities out there that I wasn't even aware of until I really started looking into it. Nicole Kidman and Christopher
Right.
Reeve, Jerry Seinfeld, Brad Pitt. That was another one. But even Lisa Marie Presley. And if you look back, her father was adamantly against Scientology, but her mom, brought her into it, and so you've got that out there.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, this could be like a whole 6-part series or something that we do. And so I'll just say it again. This is my just brief
Yep.
experience. I think it's neat when someone has had an experience or learned something and they can share their takeaway. That's way more personalized, I think.
Yeah, you can find anything you want to on the internet about the facts of it, or even what a celebrity or some has said. But to have a personal story, just some
Yeah.
information that we can talk about, I'm so excited about it. But first, we want to share with you this week's curious dish. So this is our show where we dish about the most curious thing that we've seen this week. Mandy, you have something?
Okay, so I haven't seen this. I heard this.
Okay.
This was weird to me. Maybe you've heard of this before. So I know somebody who knows somebody who, okay, have you ever got like the brain freeze? You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about? You're drinking like an icy, a slushy thing, get the
yeah,
brain
yeah.
freeze. Okay, I've never had that, as weird as that sounds. Now, I'm not a big slushy, icy person, but I've never had that. But I've had like the chest and throat one where you feel like you swallowed a like an ice golf ball. Yeah, I've had that.
Yes.
So I get the idea. But when I see people have that sensation, like the brain freeze, it's like just stop, just stop. I can't take it in that moment. And so I know it's like some intense, like constricting type sensation. So
Yeah.
this person of a person that I know goes, gets their little icy, like McDonald's or whatever it was, and they're driving with their family and get that brain freeze. So their partner's trying to talk to them, like, are you okay? And it's like, yeah, yeah, I got the brain freeze. They passed out. They passed out. Like it can cause a constriction to where you pass out. So they wrecked. They passed out and wrecked from an icy.
What?
Yeah. Yep. Like frozen Coke or whatever. Have you ever heard of this? Like a pretty rough wreck. A pretty rough
No.
wreck. Yeah. They couldn't help.
Oh
They were
my
just gone.
gosh.
Yeah.
No idea. No, I guess mine have been very, very mild. You're supposed to put your thumb in
Yeah.
the
You
roof of
put
your
that up
mouth.
there. Hmm.
Yeah, that never works for me. I don't know how that's supposed to help. It doesn't work for me. But no, never have I ever heard of it being so.
Yeah.
That's
So
shocking.
I know that was scary to me. I'm thinking, I once heard of somebody who was like drinking a Coke, like in a cup, with the straw, and when you
Yep.
you turn, then it's blocking your vision, and they wrecked from turning up. So it's like better
Oh,
to have your straw out to the side. But I've never heard of this, and that was alarming to me. You think you're just having some fun with your little, frozen drink.
enjoying your icy. Who knew
That is
ices could be
crazy.
so dangerous?
Yeah. You heard it here, but they're okay. Everybody's okay, but that's scary. Scary.
All right. Okay, so I don't eat a lot of cold. I don't like ice cream, which is just odd. I know a lot of people are like, "You don't like ice cream?" No.
Weirdo.
It's too cold, and so now you see why. I'm just trying to stay safe.
I know you're smarter than all of us, really.
Okay, well, mine, very curious, but really just awesome and cool. I was kind of digging through some artwork online that I was very interested in, and I came across something that I thought was just nifty, and I'm going to
Okay.
show it to you. Those of you that watch us on YouTube, you can see a picture of
Oh,
this.
that's cool.
It's very cool. So I like anything nautical, any kind of, so a fish right up my alley. Do you know what that is made from? People are so creative.
No.
That is old electronic parts.
Really?
Yep,
No, I
it's
couldn't
made.
tell. It's like collage though. I love
Yes.
collages. I love like when people take like a bent fork and make some kind of thing.
Yes. It's kind of like steampunk
Yes.
meets cutesy meets
Mhm.
thrifty and using things that are just laying around the house.
Now, why are you not making these things?
Yeah, I have no idea what most of those components are. I'd be in Home Depot going, "See this little red squiggly thing? Do you
Do
know
you have any of those? That's very cool though. I love it.
I do. I love it so much. And so that was my most curious thing. We'll throw a photo of that up on our Facebook page so you guys that are just listening in can check it out. It's really cool. And if you make anything nifty, we want to see it. So bring that
Yeah,
to us for sure.
definitely.
All right. Well, I thought, to kick us off, I did want to look a little bit into the beginning of Scientology, and you can't do that without looking into the life of Ron Hubbard. He was very recent. He was born in the 1900s,
Mhm.
so this is, I won't want to say a new thing, but it's certainly not like biblical days thing. He was an author, and he did a lot of writing in that science fiction fantasy,
Yeah, isn't
area.
that
And so
weird?
I can see it now, though. It
Yeah.
it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense. And he dropped out of college his second year. I thought that was interesting, and became an officer in the Navy. And this was during World War II. Um, Briefly commanded two ships, and I thought it was interesting that he was kind of removed from command of both ships.
Mhm.
Actually, the last few months that he was active in service, he actually spent it in a hospital, and he was just being treated for a variety of complaints. He did return to the United States in 1975. So this is like closer to our time of when we came onto the earth.
That's
He
my
went into,
year.
yeah, that's right. Oh, that's
That's my
right.
year.
That is right. He went into seclusion in the desert in California somewhere, and this was after an unsuccessful attempt to take over the town of Clearwater, Florida. Did you know that? That's
Didn't know that part.
Yeah, that's something I thought, well, that's strange. Um, and then he was convicted of fraud by France. There were just a lot of different strange things going on. He ended up, he did die in, I think, 86. I remember it being kind of the later 80s.
Mhm.
Um, and Scientology leaders announced that his body had become an impediment to his work, and he had decided to drop his body and continue his research on another plane of existence.
Well, I just happen to love that.
I will maybe do the same thing one day.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's the artsy way of saying heaven.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Word it how you want to word it, I guess. But yeah, very eccentric.
Eccentric.
That's the
Absolutely.
word.
Like, yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm really excited to jump in. I'm so grateful that you're willing to kind of share, what you've got, because I think there's a lot to be learned, and I love a good story. So I'm excited to
I know
hear.
you do, and I like to tell a good story. And it's always interesting when we come across something that you and I have not talked about really before.
Yeah. Can we mention that? This was
Yeah.
new. I had no idea, and I don't know how that worked out. In all of our chatting, that never came up. So I'm excited.
There's just a lot of Mandy doors to open.
Yes. All right.
So,
Well, yeah, let's kick off with like your introduction to Scientology.
okay.
How did that happen?
Okay, I wasn't really familiar with it. That's just something back in the day. This has been a long time back. So back in the day, that was, everybody didn't have everything just downloaded into their head where they knew a little bit of
Mhm.
something about everything. You might have just heard some terms and not really known what it was. Some people just think this is like a kooky type thing, and that's fine. That's your prerogative, and I'm not here to say if it is if it is not. But so I had just, and I'll try to be brief about this, but I was out of a job and of my own doing. I decided to get out of this job and I told myself, I'm going to get a job in 2 weeks. I'm going to get a job in 2 weeks. And I needed to get a job quickly because if you step out on your own and you need a job and you leave one behind, you better get on it. Right.
That's
So
right.
sure enough, I find this job and it's supposed to be a public relations position, public relations slash marketing. Well, I had been at a company where I started in marketing and actually ended up in a different department, but that was sort of my first step into marketing. And this seemed a lot more creative. That was a
Mm.
healthcare company before. So this sounded, it was like the old school ad in the paper, actually. And I thought, well, this sounds fun. This sounds intriguing. And I think it was supposed to be that. Like they weren't going to say exactly, but just enough to make you think, this
Yeah.
sounds a little bit creative. So yeah, I answer the ad, get an interview really quickly, and the family owned business, they turn out to be Scientologists. And so I did not know that immediately, but that's where this, brief encounter, this little bit of learning experience, introduction into Scientology comes from was my experience while I worked there for these people.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, did you notice anything strange or different before you took the job?
Okay, so you think you have your feeler. I always have my feelers out, and you think you have
Mhm.
it when you know what's weird, you know what's different, and very together. People very professional and very welcoming, and just
Mm.
there wasn't anything that was like a anything bad. You know, the interview went well. Excuse me, I'm having to reach for something there. So, but there was a couple of little things. So I'm in the interview, and you kind of know as an adult what to expect from interviews, right?
Right.
Uh, and it's going good, but it feels a little bit like you're seeing a counselor, like it's like a psychology appointment. A lot of the questions were geared in that way. They leaned that way. Well, for me, I was just like, well, this is really interesting. They really want to know me. So
Yes. Of course.
some
Yeah, I get
somebody else
that.
might have been like, I'm not telling you that stuff. I'm out of here. But I just thought, hey, I was more intrigued by
Yeah.
them asking the non-traditional questions as we went along. So it's looking good. And I'm thinking, okay, this is the end. And one of them says, oh, one more question. It's like, okay. I thought it was like, when can you start? It's like, when did you get your last haircut? When did you get your last haircut? So I
Okay,
had
that's a
just
strange interview question.
right. I had just got my hair cut. And so I was able to say that, but I went home thinking, huh, so what would that have made you think? If somebody asked that, like what would you think the reasoning was?
I don't know. Maybe they had just really strict expectations of presenting yourself like you were kept.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I know. So I was thinking about that and thought, well, yeah, it could be that. Do you keep yourself up? You'll be representing the company, you'll be out
Yeah.
there, or did they want to see what I said? Did I act weird about it? Was I bothered by that? I don't know. I felt like they were really in there. They were poking, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay. So you obviously got the job.
I did get the
Uh,
job.
at what point after you were hired do you think, oof, that was odd or that was suspicious?
Yeah. So I get the job. I start the like in-house training. Um, and when I was doing the training, I thought this isn't exactly public relations. So I was
Mm.
look to represent and it was an alternative healthcare facility. So I'd already been in healthcare in some capacity. So I was to represent and I was to go out. Well, I love that kind of thing. So I was out and about. I was going to all the like public events, business things, doing all that. That seemed like public relations. But on top of that, I had to go out and do chair massages. Chair massages. Well, I didn't expect that. What did I know about that? So
Okay.
yeah, that was weird, and that was kind of like supposed to be the soft entry into their business. Like you get your free massage, and then you get to come in and check us out. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a
Wow.
type of marketing.
So wait, did they was there any training in that or was it yeah, just
It was brief. It
okay.
was brief. And I did a lot of just my own intuition when I would be at places. And I was at a
Mhm.
lot of places doing these massages. And, there's some thoughts on that. So you've got somebody like I'm a really good read, on people. And I do have the background in marketing. I like marketing, and there's a lot of different levels of marketing. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying anything outright nasty, but you get somebody in a vulnerable position where in that moment you're giving them something, and
right.
then you're like, so why don't you just come on down? We'll take care of you. And it's a little bit, it's not underhanded, but it's a little bit of I don't know. I don't even want to say this is what I was doing. Okay. Kicking
Okay.
my butt, I will say, leaned over people, all kinds of people, working as hard as I could, working my whole spiel of what to say, making the meetings. So my first thoughts were, yeah, this is a lot. This is a lot.
Sure.
But it didn't make me think anything like off. I just thought there's high expectations, right? So the first time, though, anything that I thought was suspicious, other than that, was I was actually being treated there as well. So they had several different things that they did. They did some physical therapy. They just did a lot of things. And I'm not slandering anybody. I wouldn't, throw anybody under the bus. Nothing like that. But so I was receiving treatment and it went a little bit off the rails one day and it moved into some I was kind of having some weird thoughts and feelings. And I don't know if you've ever done this where you feel like a deja vu type feeling or you feel something you can't quite explain. So I liked one of the people who worked there. Well, I liked them both really, but I kind of confided, hey, I had a situation before with a surgery. And I said, that's coming to my mind. Well, so this person sort of taps into that and is like, let's go with that. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with what we're doing? But again, I'm
Right.
open. This is not hurting me. So I'm just like rolling with it. I'm very open minded. And so there's this talk, there's this suggestive type talk that feels a lot like hypnosis. So I'm starting to have these feelings, and I swear, and this is not, I'm not even saying this is just fluff junk. I started saying the things back, doing the things I was asked to do, and I have a weird sensation come over me. And it started to feel like I didn't have any emotions attached to that subject
Oh,
that I was
wow.
originally talking about, that I was fearful about. So I was like, what just happened? And this person says, congratulations, you just cleared your first engram.
Okay. Ingram.
Engram. So I'm
Okay.
like, well, yay me. What does that mean?
Good job.
Good
You're
job.
saying Engram.
Correct.
Ingram. Okay. Tell us more
Yeah.
about that.
So I knew I had done something really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That was my focus. No, I just I was like, okay. I just stuck that in the back of my head. Um, I'll tell you what I didn't know then, because it wasn't like so accessible. I had had a phone like a year, I think, like a cell phone.
Yeah.
Um, so if you look up Engram, it just says it's a unit of cognitive information imprinted in a physical substance, theorized to be the means by which memories are stored, like as biophysical or biochemical changes in the brain or other biological tissue in response to external stimuli. The shortcut to that is, the theory is we store things that then are kind of our downfall. If we
Mm.
didn't carry all the crap that's like clinging to us, if we could clear that, we would be clear and we would be elevated. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. That sounds wonderful.
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
good thing.
sounds like a good thing. So I just took that. I'm like, don't really know what that is. And then I decided to look it up. And so I searched. It might have even been at the library. This is back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I searched, and that's what I found out what was going on, and found out, hey, that's a Scientology word.
Oh,
Mhm.
ding, ding, ding. There it
Ding,
is.
ding, ding.
Okay. So this is like your first realization of, hey, I'm dealing with Scientologists.
Mhm.
Uh, how familiar were you with that at the time?
Not really. No, I didn't really
Okay.
know what that was. I knew it was, supposed to be a religion. It was supposed to be something that was what I would have thought was out there, based on the kind of way it was presented, just in casual conversation, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Um, Headlines, stuff that, I didn't know, but it wasn't necessarily alarming to me about them. I was kind of intrigued. You know, I liked them. And so, no judgment.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. There are companies that run their businesses. Chick-fil-A. There's one of them. Chick-fil-A, I have a great experience anytime I go to a Chick-fil-A.
Mhm.
But they are a Christian company and they run it that way. And they do have certain expectations for their employees. And so did you feel it was kind of the same? Like
Yeah,
there
so
might
I
be an expectation on you?
there was a time when that came about. Yes. So,
Okay. All right. We're
um,
going to get to that, I feel.
yeah. So
Okay.
this is how you, and I don't even mean it bad. This is how you manipulate softly. You
Yeah.
don't say, there's some people who really know how to do that. There's some people have to do training for that.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I think that, and that doesn't even mean that everybody's got a bad intention. If they think, hey, you need this, you should be involved in this, they might sway
Sure.
you. We would say sway.
Yes.
But there was no direct mention. They did not go about it directly, like, you need to do this. It's very smart when I look at it now, because I
Mm.
think, and I actually can appreciate that kind of thing. The sneakiness, I can actually appreciate that. But so I'm working hard. I'm doing this training there within the business. There's
Sure.
a lot of paperwork, a lot of paperwork. So it's all specific forms and specific ways to fill those out. It's a lot of dotting your I's and crossing your T's, which I will tell you I burned out on pretty quickly.
Mm.
That was all that I was getting there. And then it's like, very soon, you want to up your game. you're going to want to go to this marketing training. It's like, boot camp out of town. Go with the owner, and you're going to learn a lot. And
Okay.
okay, we're going to Clearwater. We're going to Clearwater. Clearwater meant nothing to me.
Clearwater.
Meant
Oh,
nothing to me back then. I'd never been. And so I'm like, okay, I packed my bags up, but I had that in my pocket and of what I knew that they were involved in. So
sure.
I'm like, okay. So about halfway down, I'm thinking, okay, you're gonna keep your little secret and you're gonna do your little thing. So I just kind of popped off, mouthy as I am, like, so this is for Scientology, right?
Oh,
Yeah, mouth dropped. What makes you
ah,
think that? What makes you think that? Well, and so I went over the thing about how I had been in a session and heard this term, and they were like, "But how did you know?" I said, "Well, I looked it up. Curious about the term. That's what you
yeah.
do." But anyway, this was somebody I liked, so I was just sort of poking somebody. I instantly liked these people. So we go down there, and I'm still got my guard a little bit. I'm not being taken advantage of or anything. And it's the training is at the Clearwater Academy International, and that's the school for Scientology down there. It's huge.
Okay. And that is still there, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's big. Yeah.
Okay. So you were you in the school or you were just at the school for something different?
No, I was so it was just like a we were there in the building, and it was like weekend training. It's
Okay.
like, like a 2-day training. So this is at the Flag Building. It's also referred to as the Superpower Building. It's the largest building there, and it was built principally to deliver a superpower rundown, which is a high level Scientology training course. So that's what I'm talking about, like quick,
Okay.
do it quickly. Well, they have a lot of different things in Scientology that you can do to be clear, to be, you know, clear. And it's a clearing process. So there's slow ways, there's quicker ways. And I'm telling you, as just like at a very base level. I didn't become an expert in 2 days of training.
Sure. Okay. All right. So tell us about that training. I mean, were you in classes? Was it just a big group? What was that like?
Yeah. So the building and everything's massive. So you feel sort of like you're at a huge college slash convention.
Okay.
Um, and it's work. You're going into the classroom, you're doing worksheets, you're reading books. It's like you went to school for a couple of days. And I actually found it very interesting.
Mhm.
So like one of the things that they believe, excuse me, is that so you're on a page, and in order, even if it's very elementary in the teaching, you have to prove that you understand everything on that page before you can flip to the next page.
Okay.
So it's very thorough, it's very
Okay.
detailed, very structured. But they have all grades, like they have regular school and such. So the way that they teach in that way, I found helpful, even though it's a lot to take on just suddenly. It makes sense because you know how school can be. You're like behind before you know it. Like these kids in school are like, I'm trying to keep up. It's thrown very quickly. And so, I appreciated that. And I learned very well quickly in those 2 days there. It's
Mm.
pushing, but it's pushing in a way that's effective.
Okay. Did you, I mean, at this point, you're thinking it's all about marketing,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit not all about
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah, so it's marketing their way, and it's really old school guerrilla marketing, like in your face, like guerrilla warfare. So it's being very I don't want to say aggressive, but as I say, in your face, like cold calls, walking up to
Mm.
people, having that confidence within yourself. So obviously they want you as clear as possible so you can be the best for them. It's a lot of
Okay.
that. about being the best. So it's like cutting the fat, it's like sifting, cleaning.
Mhm.
They took me to a 2-day car wash. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let's get
Yes.
her ready. Let's get her ready.
Okay. Did you feel hoodwinked at all? Was there that feeling of, wait a minute?
A little, and I felt like I was doing it back too, because I'm
Mm,
just that spiteful. So I'm like, I see what you're doing, and I'm going to learn what I can learn while I'm here. I'm going to
what
find
I
out
love
about this.
about you. Uh-huh. Well, so tell me what was different about their teaching. I mean, what really stuck out to you?
Okay, so aside from the fact that you had to learn a certain way, they actually, even though I was an adult, they presented me with like childhood material, like stuff you would
Okay.
have given, at, I don't know, first grade or whatever. The first sections were very, very simple
Sure.
pictures, simple talk. And I thought, this is weird. This is not an experience I had ever had in any training.
Mhm.
Um, but they're wanting to see very quickly what level you're at, just in general.
Mm.
What level are you able to learn at? Now they're like against psychiatry and stuff, but they're very much in that way. They're what my experience was is I felt like I was being fingers in the head, but I didn't mind that because I like to share, and I just went along with all this and just absorbed it, and I didn't hate it. There was nothing that was like, okay, so now you can sign up for your timeshare. There was no kind of like, you didn't I didn't get that in the end, or I would have been very upset. You got to imagine too, I rode with this person, so I
Right.
didn't even have my own vehicle. Um, so I was kind of trapped and made the best of it for the couple of days. I mean, I'm the type of person, I think I can get something out of anything. And it was interesting to me.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just looking through their website and the things
Mhm,
they talk about on there, all very interesting, very curious.
mhm. Oh
So
yeah.
tell me about, the pulse of the room. Who was there with you and how did those participants interact with one another, with you? What was their response like?
So nobody like jumped on me like vultures, like, oh, we've got somebody. But you felt the overall feel was one of like reverence. People
Mm,
who, because I would think that most of those people knew what they were coming for. I mean,
sure.
I don't think I was even going to be told until I got there, because I was the one that brought that up. So you had this feeling like if you've ever visited like a church where the people are like, we've got somebody new,
Uh-huh.
which is great when your intention is great. But when it's like almost like fresh blood, like somebody new, like, oh, wait till you see, and you're
Yes.
enlightened. Like I was gonna be so, I don't know, impressed and awe. And I was just kind of taking it like it didn't mean anything to me. But I
Sure.
think the overall feel there was very cleared, very cleared.
Yes. Okay. So tell me about the people that you worked for. What were your feelings of them? I know you said you liked the lady that you traveled with, right?
Yeah, I did like her a lot, and I felt sometimes the fact that I do like to share, and this is just me being transparent, but the fact that I do like to share, and I think that other people are honest in their intentions, I'm very open. I don't have a problem being
Mm,
that way. And
mhm.
so if I like you, you know it early on, and I can kind of cling to people and get sort of all excited about a new friend kind of thing. I don't
Right.
know. I can't say I was ever a friend, or I was just like the lump of clay sitting there, that there was potential. I'm not sure to this day what that was, but what started off really super sweet, soured early on, and sort of took a turn. So, and I think that was a personal thing. I don't relate that to any of this necessarily, but I do think it's like you get in line or you move on.
Okay. So you've gone to this training and you continue to work there, correct?
Yes. So we come back and I am trained, and I am cleared at least one time. So there was
Okay.
none of that. There was none of like the esoteric type stuff going on there. It really was classroom worksheets, answering questions, that kind of thing. But yeah, I kept working there. I kept working hard, and I put into play all the things that they wanted. I did it.
Mm.
But I didn't feel taken advantage of, like there was sneakiness. I felt like there was a lot of, get to work, work hard, more, more, more. And some people will just say, yeah, put it on here. I'll make it happen. I
Mm.
had a base salary, and then I had a pretty sweet commission deal that was very hard to reach.
Mm.
Sounded
Yeah,
really good. Yeah.
tell us about that. So, you've got your base salary.
Mhm.
Um, was there a lot of pressure? Were there certain goals you had to reach, or was it just incentive based?
So there were a lot of goals, but they had, so like, how when you're in middle or high school, and the kids have to not just be able to answer it, but they have to show their work and show it in a certain way. So I had to jump through the hoops in a certain way. It didn't matter that I could jump through the hoops. I had to
Mm.
do it all the way of the program. So it
Wow.
became very rigorous and very hard to stay excited about.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
did teach me a lot, though. I did learn a lot from that.
Right. And probably things that you could, still use today. I mean, their
I
precepts
do.
are great.
Yeah, I totally get the idea. Like, I'll meet somebody or I'll know of somebody, and I could still use that term clear. Like, they're not clear. You know that they're operating on some level of heaviness. They're still
Yes.
wearing their burdens, and you can almost pick it up in the way they respond. Like, I get that. That resonates with me. Also the fact of it made me realize that I had it in me to do the kind of marketing that I ended up doing on my own, which was that I had that where I was not shy to go up to people. It brought that out of me. That was not hard for me to do. It was just the way everything had to be done, and the time, and the lots of paperwork, lots of paperwork. So they've shied away from that now in general, but back then it was a ton of paperwork, and it had to look a certain way.
So just because you've gotten this position and you've gone to this training, that didn't mean you were a part of the Church of Scientology, correct?
Correct. And I was never asked to join.
Really?
No, I was never asked to join. So it's not like, hey, you want to go to church this weekend? It was, I don't even know about that part of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that might have been like at the 6 month something that I made it to. I really felt like it was structured in such a way that if you're smart, you won't let the cat out of the bag too soon. So you will
Mm.
give those things at certain times when you feel like that person will respond the way you want them to respond. Um, I think if I would have kept on at that job, I would have either really, really been miserable, or I would have beat
Mm.
them at their own game.
Yes.
Because
So yeah,
I was learning quickly.
you were learning that strategic infiltration.
Yes, that's exactly what it was like. And I watched it, and the more I watched it with people who were and I don't want to say they preyed on anybody, but people maybe who didn't have the money for the program. And so then there was the next step. It's like the
Mm.
good cop, bad cop, when you, in the old days, I mentioned before about like timeshares and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
I've been there, and you think, oh, this seems so exciting. And then they turn real nasty on you.
Mm.
I didn't see these people do that, but I just thought, this is why this isn't real. Being with people based on a certain list of ways to be, even if you're meeting them at where they are, you're not softening to people, you're not being to their vulnerabilities. That was hard
Sure.
to watch.
So would you say in the time that you were there, did you feel like you were good at your job?
Hmm. I did.
Good.
I did
Yeah.
feel like it. And I felt like people liked me because I wasn't a part of that. I was still just being Mandy. So I wasn't a part of that. And I don't even know if anybody knew that was what was going on, um, you know, there or whatever. But um, yeah, I felt like I was good at it, but it
Mm.
was tiring. It's tiring to be
Yeah.
balance the book on your head, walk around, spin a plate, put a foot out, do a song and dance, and make a meal. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like.
Right. So how did your time with that end? I mean, why did you leave?
So it was interesting. I remember a specific time that I was at an after hours event, and someone who was like a business friend type that I saw at these social events, they were talking to me and they're like, I watch you and you're really good at what you do. Why are you not doing that for yourself?
Mm,
And I was like, they said they're not doing any other things. You're doing that. Why are you doing that for them? And I don't know. It's like a light bulb went off. And so I thought, yeah, I love marketing. I love it.
mhm.
And I realize now that I can do marketing that's outside of the office, where that would have been my experience before, was just like inside an office. And I thought, yeah, it just really hit me when you recognize that truth of something. And I thought,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. And I knew instantly. So that was the beginning of the ball rolling. The ball rolled, bounced, and hit me in the face multiple times.
As it often does. That just happens. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, do you feel like you kind of dodged a bullet there, or just I know you made a better choice,
Mhm.
but do you feel like you could have fallen into something that would have changed the trajectory of your life? Or did you always kind of know in the back of your mind, hey, this is something I'm going to eventually need to walk away from?
No, well, I do think I dodged a bullet because I do think that that would have been the expectation at some point.
Yeah.
Because some other things, and I'll mention that in a second. But yeah, I feel like I did, but I'll say I got shot at several times before then. So that I did not dodge the bullet. It was an ugly
Yeah.
separation.
Oh, that was going to be
Yeah.
my next question did you just walk away quietly or yeah.
Yeah, so it started building quickly. I think they saw in me that I didn't have the judgment there. So I was like, oh, she's open. So I was approached to do like a weekend worth of like the quick clearing. And
Okay.
that takes a specific machine to help you process quickly. And you basically do the questions back and forth so you can get very cleared. The idea is to not have any emotional response to something that would hold you back.
Wow.
Get numb, get flat, but it really means you're clear. um,
Mm.
that's, I mean, how does that hit you when I say that?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds incredibly unhealthy.
Mhm.
And how many people that I have known in life handle things that eventually I don't know how numb you can be, for how long.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it the magic thing that stops addiction and then addiction comes back into play because you have just for an example, because you have a tendency towards something. So it's not a magic wand.
Sure.
Um, I knew what they meant about the clearing. The numbness didn't set well with me because I don't think that's healthy. But I did feel that when I did that thing. I did feel that to where I thought, all right. And it was a pattern of saying something that in the beginning makes you feel like crying. And once you've done it in the way and processed in the way, you just feel like, so what? I mean, I felt it.
Yeah.
It happened.
I mean, who knows? You do work through things, and then when you've worked through something enough that your soul is able to let that go. You may have hurt, you may have something there that is just it's tormenting. You have to deal with things in life and hurts and hangups, and once you work through those, you want to let it go. You don't want to keep dwelling on something just for the sake of dwelling on it. So it almost, it does sound like, oh, it's healthy if you've truly worked through what you need to work through and you can walk away from that being a clean person, being you feel better. Like I just worked through that. I dealt with that. Now I'm ready to move on. But there have been times in life where I thought I had worked through something and I just trucking it down the road and it will slap you in the face
Mhm.
because you didn't deal with it all the way, and it's still lingering there. I think there's a danger in that.
Well, and because we're human and we have triggers and we're not robots void of true feelings. And,
Yeah,
you know, I don't think, and maybe it works better for some people.
sure.
Maybe even my experience might have been different with other people.
Right.
I don't think there was a division between what was Scientology and what was personality.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of that high standards, high maintenance. I think that I was seen sort of as a protege, and when it was like, oh wait, she's really still her own person. She's not going to bend on everything, because I was being very flexible to begin with, but it was the things that I didn't have a problem with. So
Yeah.
when there were the things I had a problem with, there was a problem.
Then there was a problem.
There was a problem. So it didn't end well, because unfortunately, and this really was not the case, and I didn't like my integrity questioned, but it looked like to the company that I had taken their training and was just going to take off with that. It was
Mm,
paid for by them, you know.
right.
So I was going to take that training, start my own marketing company. That is not what I did. I didn't take that with me. What I took with me was the like I said, what was based on guerrilla marketing, which is older than that, than what they were teaching me. This is just like in person, upfront, in your face kind of marketing, and that I found that I was good at. And I took that. I never took like their sheets or their anything like that. But there was some trust issues, because I guess that's what it looked like. And I think there was also a lot of stomping feet and kicking, because, you know, I was leaving.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a good fit, but you still had that, I call it your marketing bug, but you still have that the passion inside of you to, work it in that way and to help other people in that way. And that's a risk that companies take, especially when they're very, I'll say, very tedious in the way they want things done and how they handle it. And so yeah, I can see where they may have thought that, but I absolutely see your heart in that. You have a marketing heart. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I felt like I was doing all of my song and dance on a stage, and I was good at it, but I could have been working where I made the money and wasn't in a
Mhm.
cage. You know,
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
felt that ceiling, and things were not coming through like, not that they weren't, that they were promised and they weren't followed through. They just, it sort of got tweaked like, well, but that's if this. There were all these caveats to what looked very streamlined to begin with. And so I was just like, no, I don't think so. So then you get into the, which should never happen, when you get into a business slash personal thing, towards there's a push and the pull, and somebody's pulling on you personally to stay,
Yeah.
make a business decision. It got really ugly. Even after I left, I got called on. Aren't you going to come
Oh wow.
back? Aren't you going to come
Wow.
back? You know, this is where you should be. It was
Yeah.
very, that's when I sort of felt like, I see maybe why some people think this could be a cult, or this could be some sort of like grab you up, get their hands on you. But I honestly think that the one person I was dealing with the most could have took any religion, anything, and attached them to that. It was a personality thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it
Well, I
certainly
know.
helped support
Right.
that
Right.
personality trait. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I know one thing you didn't take with you, chair massages.
No, ma'am.
I've I've never seen you do one of those, so
No, I have not. There's actually pictures of me at that time, and I'm very rounded shouldered, because
Oh,
my posture got messed up, because I would be hours hunched over doing these massages, not prepared, not, you know, and that's not what I thought I was going to be doing, was any kind of physical thing like that. And I was actually in really good shape at the time, and I still just was like, from that positioning,
yeah.
and that kind of thing sort of that left a bad taste in my mouth. You know how
Mm,
when you're through something, you think, okay, phew, I'm out, and then you look back and you think, that wasn't right. That wasn't right.
Yep.
But,
Wow.
it's been a long time, and I don't wish anything ill towards that business or those people. I don't even know where they are. And this was not even where I live now. So, um, you know, whatever. But that was my takeaway of Scientology. That was my little touch.
Wow. Okay. Well, I've learned so much just about Scientology, the church, the way they run their centers, and this takeaway has been phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that with us. We
Welcome.
do want to say to our listeners, maybe you had an experience, maybe it was different, or you might have questions for Mandy. We would love to hear from you. Just reach out, shoot us an email, reach out to us on social media. We'd love to answer the questions for you. Love to talk to you about any stories that you have or anything else curious. We want to know about it. Be sure to join us again next week because we'll be back. Thanks for listening.